98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. It is Thursday, the 19th of November, 2020, and we're here until midday today. Hope everything is good with you. We've a lot to get through on the programme, as we always do. And first off on the show today, I want to get your opinion on shopping and late night or 24-hour shopping in December. Because if you're a shopaholic, there is potential good news coming your way. If you're someone who is literally counting down the days until Pennies opens again, well, this conversation is for you. When the shops do open back up, we hope, in 2 weeks' time, would you like to see them open all hours? Would you like to see Pennies open until midnight? Would you pop into Pennies for knickers at 11 o'clock in the evening? And do you think allowing shops to open later will ease the crowds and create a safer environment? I'd love to hear from you right now on 6797 981 or send me a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. It's believed that shops will be allowed to open as late as they want in the weeks leading up to Christmas, under plans being considered by the government. Large retailers have been calling for later opening hours after lockdown ends to deal with an expected rush on the shops. Now, it's emerged that the government is considering a plan to allow shops to keep their doors open later to allow customers prepare for the festive period. But is there a need for it? I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Do you think it is a good idea to allow the shops to open late, or is this just greed, that there is no need for it? Shops at the latest should just close at 9 o'clock and that be it. Or maybe you think that by allowing stores to open 24 hours if they want to, that will spread people out over the 24 hours of a day and the stores won't be as packed as they can be. Call me right now on 6797 981 or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Maybe you think there is no need for this at all, that this is just greed and it's particularly unfair on staff. Or maybe you are a staff member of a retail outlet. Would it bother you working until 10 or 11 o'clock at night? Or 3 o'clock in the morning? 6797 981 is our telephone number, or you can send me a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Linda, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Linda?
Not bad.
Now, Linda, do you think there's a need for the shops to be open late?
I think it would be a brilliant idea, especially for Christmas time, as I'm working till 7 or 9 nearly every day, and then sometimes it's hard to run in last minute, especially if there is a queues.
Okay, so with lots of queues, it's and the hours that you're working, it would be a godsend if the shops were to be open late.
It would be just brilliant.
Okay, so would you shop at 11 o'clock at night?
Yes, if I need to. Example, Friday, if I finish 9 o'clock, I would shop 11.
Okay, and obviously there are loads of people in your situation with the working, not normal 9 to 5 hours, working shift work and all of that, and you think that it would be a great idea?
I think yes.
Okay, and would you like to see them open 24 hours or maybe open until midnight?
I think midnight better. 24 hours it would be... I don't think somebody would go 3 or 4 o'clock.
You'd be amazed. I'm sure there would be some that would. Because obviously some people do work night shifts and finish at start at ridiculous hours and finish at ridiculous hours. So, but midnight at least. You think keeping the shops open until midnight would be a good idea?
I think yes. Like till the last buses are, I think, 11:30. So if shops open 11, would be very good. At least for Christmas.
Okay, well, have a listen to this. This has just come in to us by WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. This is Helen.
Hi Adrian, Helen here. I think it's ridiculous going to 24 hours. I definitely think earlier start, 6 a.m. might be good for people who want to get in before work, and maybe late nights at 12. If it creates jobs and that, then great, but 24 hours, I think it's a bit much now. It's hard enough, we don't even get a day's rest on a Sunday anymore, but to go to 24 hours, should the people working there be exhausted by Christmas?
All right, thanks, Helen. If you are a retail worker, how would you feel about your shop? Maybe you work in pennies or whatever, and your shop being open until midnight or all night and open at 6 a.m. Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's completely unnecessary? Call me now on 6797 981 or send us a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. This message just come in. I'd rather shop late, as there probably wouldn't be as many people around. It would be great. And we all know over the last couple of months, the likes of penny stores have been absolutely jammed. Wouldn't it be great to be able to shop at 11 o'clock at night when most people are in bed, and it wouldn't be as busy? Call me now, 6797 981. Magda, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Magda?
Hi.
You think this is ridiculous?
I think it's a joke. I mean, think of all the poor staff. I think it's just crazy.
Is it? I mean, the whole idea behind this suggestion of late night or maybe 24-hour shopping is to spread people out over the whole day. And
it's not going to help it, though. People go crazy over Christmas.
Yeah, but are they going to go crazy at 11 o'clock at night?
Probably are, yes.
You see, the worry is obviously the shops, by the time they reopen, they will have been closed for 6 weeks. So there's a lot of pent-up demand. A lot of people will want to go to the shops. And rather than having the shops absolutely packed during the day, if the shopping was spread out over the whole day, then the shops mightn't be as packed at any one time.
No, I know, but think of all the poor staff, Adrian.
Yeah, but theoretically, if shops are open longer, there'll be more work. No?
Not really, no. I think it's ridiculous. I don't know why would anyone in their right state of mind would go shopping at 12 o'clock at night.
Like I said, about 10 years ago, places like Dunnes Stores and Tesco were open 24 hours, and I used to work nights, and I'd be coming home at night and just pop into Tesco. You would be amazed how many people actually want to or need to shop in the middle of the night.
I definitely do not agree. I wouldn't support that now, to be honest.
You just heard that lady there a couple of minutes ago. She doesn't finish work till 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening, and it would be great for her to be able to shop at 10 or 11 at night.
Yeah, no, I suppose when you put it like that, yeah, but I still don't think I don't know.
You don't think it's necessary?
No, definitely not, and I definitely wouldn't support it.
All right, call me right now if you are a staff member in a retail outlet that could open until midnight or could even open all night. 6797 981. Will you get a grip? Says this message. Tesco was 24 hours for years. Split shifts and enjoy shopping. I used to go during the night to Tesco. I loved it when they were open 24 hours. Ciara, you think this is a great idea?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. 100% support it.
Why?
Yes.
Why would you support it? Why do you think it's a good idea?
Lots of reasons. Well, firstly, I don't know if they still do it, but for a few years there, like Christmas week, Smiths and Dunnes usually go 24 hour anyway.
I don't know if they go 24 hours. They used to.
They did.
Did they?
They did. They definitely did at one point. Maybe they don't do it anymore, but they definitely did at one point for a few years.
I know in the week up to Christmas, the likes of Smiths would be open until 11 o'clock at night. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's a brilliant idea because it'll spread out the amount of people in the shops during the day. You're catering for the likes of the shift workers, the warehouse workers, the frontline workers, you know, the nighttime nurses, things like that. I think 100% if the staff in Pennies, for example, are happy with it, and surely they'll all be put together and say, right, who wants to do what shift?
And I don't know if you work overnight, do you get extra money? I wonder.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing. Like they've been out of work for so long. Some of them will grab it to get the extra few quid for Christmas. Now, maybe like the older staff that might be coming up to retirement years, they might like to stick to their morning shift or their normal daytime shift, and that's fine. Maybe I don't mean to come across very patronising here, aren't I? I don't mean to come across as patronising. Just giving examples, okay? Say maybe the 19-year-olds or whatever, they might prefer to do the nighttime shift. I myself, I'm not a morning person at all. I have done the Bacon Man shopping at 12 o'clock at night in Smith. I did about 10 years ago. I have done, the way Next do the sale shopping, and they open the doors at 4 o'clock in the morning and you have to get in the queue at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I've done that 4 times.
Right.
And during the summer, they did one in July, and I was 7 months pregnant, and I did it.
For what? Queuing up for what?
Oh, it's completely decorated. I bought a house now. This is now 13 years ago.
Right.
I bought my house, completely decorated the house. You'd moved in September. I did it that Christmas, completely decorated the house. My house looked like the next catalogue. Then having the baby, she was born at the end of September. Now, this is going back 11 years ago.
Right.
And did it that year. That Christmas, I had her dressed for 2 years. I remember they had the old prices on the clothes as well as the prices that I had paid that day. And I came home and I added up the original prices, and it was 800 and something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was after paying 300 and something.
Right.
It was like, yeah.
That was a major saving. Okay, so you think that there would be a demand that people... Because I know I would much rather shop in a store at 11 o'clock at night when it's not very busy than at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon when it's jammed. I would much rather that. Yeah, I really would.
Once the staff are happy now, I think the staff in the shop should have a big meeting and say, who wants what? Once the staff are happy.
Okay, but let's find out.
100%.
Let's find out whether staff would be happy, because Pauline, you're currently out of work. Can't wait to get back to work in retail.
That's right.
So another 2 weeks, fingers crossed, you'll be back to work. How do you feel about the notion of either stores staying open until midnight or right through the night if they're busy enough?
I think it's a great idea. I really do. I think with the time that we're in, I think it'd be very good. Give the elderly their time out through the day, if that's what they want. And then for us, like, I'm going to be working till probably 10 o'clock.
Yep.
So it'd be nice then for me to go after 10 if I can go and shop till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, if that's what I want to do. I do think it's a great idea.
In terms of very late night shopping or 24-hour shopping, how does it generally work with staff? You wouldn't be forced to work at 3 in the morning, would you?
No. You'd have to be asked. Like, my boss came around here the other night and asked me how did I feel about working late hours, and I said, bring it on. I've been off since March. I was only back then in retail and then off again, and I'm climbing the walls now.
I'm sure you are.
Absolutely.
And in fact, I'm thinking of the thousands of people like you who are literally counting the days to the 1st of December to actually getting back to work, and not just getting back to work, but fingers crossed, getting back to work and it being busy. So
absolutely, we are actually wall to wall with our gifts in our shop, sitting on the floor. It should be going out the door, and it's not going out quick enough. And we have stock everywhere, and we are actually panicking. And my boss is going, will this stock go quick enough for us, for turnover and everything? Because at this stage of the game, we would be really busy now, coming up now to Christmas, getting rid of stock. And I'm sure, like, our bills are being paid and everything else. And yourself, like, for January and February, it's getting money in for those months that are going to be quiet. And now you have that worry as well on top of everything else.
Okay, so you basically are of the mind that you'll do anything just to get back to work. And if it means working late nights or working, odd hours, you're quite happy to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am fed up earning just €300.
No, I'm sure you are, yeah. You don't have to name the store, but what sort of retail do you work in?
We have, it's a shop, La Belle in Bray, and it's a gift shop.
Oh, right, very good.
We do every type of gift. We do decorations down to your lovely gifts for your wife and your mom and your sister. We do anything. We do slippers, we do lovely headpieces, jewellery. We do everything, candles, the whole lot. We do a lovely range of gifts.
Excellent. And like you said, you've a lot of stock. It's not shifting as much as you might like it to.
Absolutely.
But when the door is actually open, you hope to shift the stock, and you'll work all the hours God sends in order to do that.
Yeah, like my boss was over here the other night, and she said people are knocking on the window going, you know, can I come in? Because they don't know how to actually do the click and collect.
And not everybody does. I was talking to somebody, only, you know, particularly older people might desperately want to buy stuff, but just aren't even comfortable enough to do click and collect. Yeah. All right, the very best of luck, and fingers crossed, another 2 weeks and you'll be back working again. All right, great to talk to you, Pauline. Thanks very much indeed. Sarah, you used to work in retail. What do you think of this proposal for late night or even 24-hour shopping?
Well, 24-hour shopping now. Late night, yeah, because the retail store I used to work in, it's a very well-known sports shop. And we always open till 11, half 11 anyways, to come up to Christmas. From Black Friday up to Christmas, of a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday they open till 11. Right,
okay. So you think that's enough, do you?
Yeah, because I know when I was walking there, the amount of people that was coming in and just screaming at you if you didn't have a shoe size or something that they wanted to buy in that size, and they're like, well, why haven't you got it? You should have extra stock because you know it's busy, and they don't understand the shop can only hold a certain amount.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, listen, we get a delivery in every night. We'll have it in for tomorrow. We can hold them for you if you want to come back up and collect it. But the absolute abuse I used to get hold at me walking in the store, especially around Christmas and Black Friday, was just ridiculous. I really do. I feel for anybody.
All right, so you don't think it's necessary to be opening 24 hours or even until midnight?
Maybe midnight at a push, but not 24 hours. Like I have done overnight, and it's dreadful. They don't.
No, like I said,
the company I work for didn't pay anything extra.
Oh, right, okay. No, a lot do.
The discretion of the company whether they pay you extra or not.
Now I can remember when.
And you didn't get a choice whether you worked overnight. It was like you're asked to do it. Yeah, do all your job, and that's it.
Oh, right. Well, most companies are a little bit better than that now. But I can remember when the likes of Tesco and Dunn's were doing 24 hours. I remember going into Dunn's and Cornell's Court at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was actually busier than you would expect it to be. There were more people around than you would have thought.
My father worked for Tesco for 25 years, and I remember when it was 24 hours. Like, he'd be always coming home, and we'd get gone to school or whatever. Like, he used to do shift work. Sometimes it'd be like a 6 to 2, or then it'd be like a 2 to 10, and so he did do shift work, but yeah, I remember him.
All right, but as regards 24 hours, no need for it at all. We'll take a quick break. I'll take a couple more calls after that break. We're talking about the need and whether or not there is a need for very late night, we'll say till midnight shopping or 24-hour shopping. Would you go? Do you support it? We're back in just a moment.
The sound of the city, from Balbriggan to Blanchardstown. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
A huge reaction actually to this about whether or not there is a need, a demand, a want for very late night or 24-hour shopping. This message came in to me and it says, my opinion is they should up until Christmas to spread people due to social distancing. And to be honest, most of retail staff are off during lockdown twice, so they could work extra. Myself being a construction worker, I haven't had a day off or anything like that, so it would be very helpful for me. This is from Derek.
Hi Adrian, I'd love to know what the staff think about this. Like, if they're going to have to work 24 hours, if the shop's going to be open 24 hours, what's going to happen with, like, are the staff going to agree with this? They're not used to working 24 hours. Are they going to get new staff in? And is it worth their while even opening them? Because then they're going to have to pay the staff a 33% shift rate. I don't know if it's. I know what they're saying that it would ease the pressure off the crowds probably during the day, but is it really worth it in the end? I don't know.
God, I don't know where you are, Derek. It actually sounds like you're in a packed shop. Maybe he's not, but yeah. This is Kieran.
I think it's a good idea because it would give the chance for people to actually get that shopping done come up to Christmas. Will give people more hours. You know what I mean? I just think that it's a mad different approach, but I think with the world that we live in today, I think that anything is like anything new could be tried out, and I think that this would be a good idea, to be honest with you.
All right, just one or two more. Paul, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Paul?
Not too bad, Adrian. Yourself?
Paul, you're a Tesco worker.
I am.
So as it is, some Tesco stores will be open late enough, and I know staff in Tesco work from early hours for the delivery service. They're packing stuff in the middle of the night. How would you feel about working later and working longer?
To be honest with you, I did it last year. Like some nights we were up until 2 a.m. I know this year there's a few midnights in there coming in. I'm not sure of the actual dates, but we'll be up until midnight down there. So it's busy enough. And to be honest with you, if it spreads people apart and it helps with this, why not?
Yeah, no, and a lot of people agree with that. And like I said, I would much rather do my shopping at 11 o'clock at night when it's half empty than at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon when it's packed to capacity.
Well,
be much more pleasant.
True. The only thing you do need to remember, though, is if you are purchasing the alcohol, the licensing now is still...
Ah, yes, of course. Yeah. Well, okay, I'll buy alcohol during the day, but any other, clothes shopping or any of that just seems much more civilised. A few more WhatsApps. This is Sarah.
Hey, Adrian, yeah, I think they should be open whether it was open till 11 or 12 or 24 hours, because especially in the city centre, if the stalls for the Christmas market stuff are going to go ahead on Henry Street, that creates bottlenecks getting into shops, so you can only imagine queues, everything like that. So for stuff to be able to be spread out, so if you want to be able to have that to happen and people to feel safe, it makes more sense to be able to spread out shopping hours for people. I really do believe that.
All right, thank you. Peter.
Morning, Adrian. Peter in Clondalkin. I think 24-hour shopping would be a good idea, but provided to take on extra staff to cope with it.
Okay, yeah, if it creates a few more jobs, not a bad thing. Darren?
What did he mean, the poor staff? They're going to be getting paid. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to be working for 24 hours. You know what I mean? It's going to be 12 hours here, and then the next staff member comes in for 12 hours or whatever, do you know? This is a good thing, I think.
It's a good thing. Stacey?
Adrian, I think it's a great idea. I used to work nights there. I think it was last year, and like that, after a night shift, I went to Dunn's about half 12 at night. I think it was on 2 o'clock in the morning, but yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's going to be less people then in the shops, and I just think it's a good idea.
All right, this is from Kate.
Hi guys, I think it's a good idea to open early and shut late, maybe not 24 hours, and maybe if the staff are working the longer hours, they don't open right up till Christmas. Let's give them a couple of days off before Christmas. But let's not forget either, the law isn't going to let the same member of staff work 15 or 20 hour shifts 5 days in a row. So there's going to have to be more people employed, maybe. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, Kate, thank you. Sinead.
Oh my God, being able to shop in peace without my kids would be amazing. But obviously if there was longer hours, they'd have shifts in work, and I agree with Adrian, there'd be more work for people, so I think it's a good idea. Obviously if the staff are being looked after and they're getting more breaks and, there's different shifts put in place for people, well then I think it could work out really, really well. Thanks a million, love the show.
All right, Sinead, a couple more. This is Chantel.
Hey Adrian, Chantel here. I don't think it will stop the midday shoppers from going in. Realistically, I don't think so at all. Yeah, people might be going in a little bit later, but I don't think it will cut out the mass amount of people that will be going into the shops. I just don't see it at all. I just don't understand why anyone would want to go out and go into Pennies and buy our knickers and buy your pyjamas and everything at 11 o'clock at night. I just don't understand why anyone would do that in the right frame of mind.
Well, as somebody, as that last message a couple of minutes ago said, it'd be great to get out without the kids. Another message that came in to me said, I would love the idea of putting my husband and the kids to bed and going off shopping on my own. This is Daniel.
Just on the topic there, Adrian, I think it is a good idea. Like at the end of the day, staff have been out of work now for quite a long period of time. I'm not a staff member in a place, but I can imagine if it was me, I'd obviously relish the chance to get, extra hours on working late, and especially on the run up to Christmas and that. I'd say people are, stressed out about money and stuff as it is. So people working in the sector, I'd say, would be happy at the fact that they'd be able to open, till 12 o'clock or 24 hours or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, they're not going to be forced to work those hours. There will be people that will choose to work those hours who are able to, and people who can't because of family and whatever. And, the companies will make the necessary arrangements to have the staff there that want to be there. For people who, like myself, up early in the morning, working kind of late in the evening, I can't get down during the day, and I'm then in a rush to try and get to the shop before it closes. You're in a queue. It'll also spread out people, so you're not going to have, with the day Penny's open, you're not going to have 400 people standing outside Penny's waiting for it to open, standing in a queue all day, because you're going to have availability for the entire day. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I think the businesses are obviously promoting it because they also think it's a great idea being closed for the best part of 80% of this whole year.
All right, Daniel, and one final message. Let's get a perspective from a taxi man.
Hi, Adrian and Andrea here. Even from a taxiing perspective, it would be brilliant if they did open late. Seeing that we won't have the pubs this year, at least we'll have something.
Yep, that's fair enough. Okay, so it seems that there is a majority of support for the idea of late night and or 24-hour shopping. Fingers crossed, in 2 weeks everything will be reopened again. All the shops will be back open, and yeah, it seems to make a bit of logical sense to spread it out over 18 hours of a day rather than 12 hours of a day. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but it looks like it most likely will. This is 98 FM. And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. So we're playing a little bit of Christmas music that might tell you that I'm about to do something. Yes, indeed. We here at 98 FM have thousands of euro to be won right across the week to spend on SuperValu online shopping. Earlier on today, Rebecca and Brendan on 98 FM's Big Breakfast ordered something. What did they order? Were you listening? They ordered something online at supervalu.ie earlier on today. If you know what they ordered, send me a message right now starting with SuperValu and then the answer and your name, and send it immediately to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. So earlier on today, Rebecca and Brendan on 98 FM's Big Breakfast ordered something online at supervalu.ie. But what did they order? Message me right now, SuperValu, followed by the answer and your name, to 0877 98 98 98. Okay, so get your phone in your hand, type SuperValu, followed by the answer. What was it they ordered this morning? And send it to me right now, 0877 98 98 98. And we'll be ringing one of you back in just a moment to find out if you know the answer. What did they order? And in a second, if you don't manage to win this time round, I'm going to be ordering something, and Barry Dunn will be asking you later, what did I order? Okay, 0877 98 98 98. Get your answer in really, really quickly. We are about to ring somebody who has the right answer as to what Rebecca and Brendan ordered earlier on today. If we're ringing you, answer your phone. Okay? We are now starting to ring somebody. If it's you that we're trying to ring, answer your phone. Okay? Now you can stop because we're about to ring somebody this very second. Let us go to line 1 here. Let's go to Drimna, and Stacey Nicholson is in Drimna. Stacey, good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm so happy.
Well, we'll see how happy you are. What is the answer? What did Rebecca and Brendan order earlier on?
Mince pies.
Mince pies. Is that what they ordered?
Merry Christmas!
Yes, it is.
Yay!
That is fantastic. Now, I've great news for you. You have just won yourself a €150 voucher. Congratulations from SuperValue, and you can just take that voucher and do online shopping. Congratulations, Stacey, and thanks very much indeed.
Much.
Okay, thank you. Now it's my turn to order something online at supervalue.ie. And I want you to make a note of what I order. And later on today, don't bother texting us now, it's a waste of time. Later on today, Barry Dunn will be asking you, what did Adrian order on the show this morning? Okay? So, I am about to place an order at supervalue.ie. So let's just go supervalue.ie. And I need, for my dessert, I need to order some fresh cream. Okay, fresh cream. There you go. I've just ordered it. Thank you. Supervalue.ie. I just ordered fresh cream. So later on today, Barry Dunn is going to ask you, during his show at some stage between 12 and 4 today, what was it that Adrian ordered? And if you know the answer, you'll do exactly what we just did there. You will message him later on this afternoon, fresh cream. That's what I've just ordered. And if you get it right, you too could win yourself a €200 SuperValue voucher for shopping at supervalue.ie. So once again, I have just ordered fresh cream. Write it down, because later today, Barry Dunn will be asking you, what did Adrian order on Dublin Talks this morning? And that's what I ordered, fresh cream. This is 98 FM.
The sound of the city, from Ballybrack to Ballymun. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
And we're here until midday today. Now, we have spoken several times during the year about restrictions around maternity hospitals that have remained strict during the entire pandemic since last March. But does there need to be compassionate allowances, and how does this affect people on a human level? A listener by the name of Neve contacted us because she wanted her story heard. She wants to let people know the heartache that couples are going through because of strict hospital rules on parents, on fathers primarily, not being allowed into the hospital for check-up visits. And we know that fathers are literally allowed in when the woman is pushing the baby out, and he can come in then. What Niamh went through last week, nobody should have to go through alone. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a warning about the conversation I'm about to have with Niamh. Some of you may find it very upsetting. But she wants to tell her story and highlight how these rules on maternity visits are just very uncompassionate to an awful lot of people. Niamh, let's find out a little bit about your story. You were going for a checkup.
Yeah, that's what it was. We had found out we were pregnant on our fourth baby, which we were overjoyed, obviously. But unfortunately, I was having some mild pain, so I had phoned my hospital and they asked me just to come in for a checkup, which I wasn't too sure what way it was going to go, but I was quite hopeful that everything was okay. To be then brought into a room to be asked what I had kind of experienced, and then basically to tell me that I had lost the baby. Now, they were absolutely fantastic. I would not fault the hospital in any way at all. But it was then followed by, have you got someone with you? Which obviously I didn't, because with the restrictions, you weren't allowed to have anyone. I was asked, did I have anyone outside for me, which obviously my husband was at home with the other children. With the restrictions as well, we couldn't drop them into grandparents for him to be able to come in with me. So I then was asked, did I have far to go, which I had over an hour's drive.
So you were there on your own, being told this heartbreaking news that you had lost your baby.
Yeah, on my own, literally on my own. I can't even begin. Like, I have had previous miscarriages, but this, I have to say, has absolutely floored myself and even my husband, that I sat across the other side of the room to be told the devastating news, tears rolling down my face, not having somebody there to even comfort me, to hold my hand. And then it was just a case of, I put my coat on and I just walked out the door, and it was absolutely lashing raining. I walked back up to my car, my hood was up, the rain was pelting down, I had my mask on, and I still think, how did I get to that car? I couldn't even pick up the phone to contact my husband. I couldn't say the words. I just had to text him saying we've lost the baby.
Oh, you texted him?
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to ring him. I was hysterical. And then when I kind of calmed down in the car, he phoned me, but obviously it was hard to have the conversation with the other children around. And he was concerned then me driving like over an hour's drive back home. It's not even that, like, as well, that you could have the comfort of maybe visiting a parent, or like my mum would be closer to the hospital where I could have maybe gone in there, or had somebody to call into till I kind of got myself together. With the restrictions, you can't go to anyone.
Now, there's been lots of talk over the last couple of months about this restriction in most of our maternity hospitals, where partners can't go for visits and can only go for the birth at the last minute and have to sit out in the car and all of that. And, lots of people have been complaining about this. But it really comes into focus when you hear somebody like you, because it's not all good news having a baby. It doesn't always go to plan. And in your case, it didn't. And anytime we're given bad news in life, you want to be able to share it with those you love.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, it's really knocked me. Like, I keep playing that moment over in my head. And how as well I was able to just be left to just walk out that door through the waiting room with other pregnant ladies waiting to be seen, and to do it alone.
And I'm just envisaging in my head that walk from the hospital to your car in the lashings of rain, and trying to absorb this information and having nobody to share that devastating news with at that very moment. And, it's our natural instinct to want a hug, at least, from the person that we love.
Yeah, 100%. And I didn't. And, I actually think, my husband this time round, because as I've said, it's not the first miscarriage we've had, but, like, it's really affected him. And,
really affected him in what way, Niamh?
Extremely emotional about it.
And how does that compare to the previous miscarriages that you say you've had?
The previous, he would have been nearly trying to be strong for me, and kind of putting me first. And, it's happening to me, but really has knocked him. And he's devastated. And sometimes we kind of forget about the men because, it's happening to the woman. But at the end of the day, it's his baby too. He's had a loss as well.
So he was able to deal with it, and you, by the sounds of it, were able to deal with the previous miscarriages, albeit difficult, much better than compared to this particular miscarriage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
One of the things you said in your email is that none of this makes sense when you can enter a shop with someone, you can fly in an airplane with someone, we can do lots of these things even with restrictions that we have in place, and that this restriction of having no partners for visits, having partners only there for the actual birth, is a restriction that in your opinion makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely no sense. Like, we were due to go a couple of weeks ago. We were due to fly to Rome, and we could have got on that airplane as husband and wife, and we could have gone to Rome. But yeah, my husband couldn't have been there last week to hear the devastating news with me.
The one thing that doesn't make sense to me, and I've said this on the programme before about this restriction on partners, is that 9 times out of 10, if you are going to an appointment with your partner, you live with that person anyway, so you're equal risk of this virus.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, no, like, definitely. It does not make sense. Like, my husband he's currently working from home. Like, he's here. I'm at home with the children every day, and yeah, he couldn't have been there. It baffles me, and my heart just absolutely breaks. And why I think I feel so strongly about it is like, my pregnancy wasn't like really, like, as in it's still a loss, and it wasn't I wasn't really far along, but I would absolutely, my heart breaks for anyone that has to go in and hear devastating news of maybe their 20-week scan and been told there's no heartbeat. Or so really, like, I just think there needs to be a change. It needs to be focused on that women don't have to experience it, because I have to say, like, a week on and I am still raw from what has happened to us, but that I had to go through that experience alone.
And as you said, we forget about men an awful lot when it comes to pregnancy, but your husband feels very disjointed from the whole experience because he wasn't there.
He wasn't, yeah. He really does. Like, he, had to be at home. Obviously, we didn't want the kids to be aware that there was something going on when I took off in the car, but Mammy was just going shopping, and he obviously was at home and had to put on a brave face when he eventually got to speak to me. And, I don't know, he just should have been there. He should have been there. It's something I'll have to say I'll never forget.
And it's something that is kind of, it's constantly come up every week or two during this whole pandemic since last March about the fact that this restriction has been in place. We've spoken to many women over the months who've told of how difficult it is just going for an appointment. But those appointments where it's not great news, there is something wrong, that everything isn't as it should be, are those times that you need that loved one by your side. What is your message then, Niamh, to the Minister for Health, for example, who should have the power to instruct maternity hospitals to change their guidelines?
Yeah, well, basically, it's not that I want to put anyone in my shoes, but maybe just sit back and think
the reality of it is, Niamh, there are women in your shoes every day of the week, unfortunately.
Oh, unfortunately, I seen a woman in there whilst I was in there having the same news. It wasn't exactly private once we were brought into the kind of admissions area, but absolutely, like, it's going on all the time. But it's just, something needs to be prioritised. It needs to be, we don't know how long these restrictions are going to be in place. Maybe they might be lifted in the next 2 weeks, please God. But where does that leave women then who do need to attend these appointments and are hearing the devastating news of a loss? But I just really, really strongly feel that there needs to be a focus on it. There needs to be a change, that women can have their partners by their side, not to like flood the waiting rooms with women and men, but maybe that appointments are staggered, that it's given a little bit of time maybe for people to enter and exit, and but there is some consideration given to women that are going in these situations.
All right. Well, Niamh, I appreciate your bravery and sharing your story with us. It's obviously not an easy thing to talk about, being so raw just 1 week later. But I think hearing stories like yours, and I know there have been many other similar stories, just highlights how difficult this has been for an awful lot of women and men. And I think that's the point you're trying to get across.
Yeah.
And Niamh, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I just hope that in the future that nobody has to experience what I experienced last week by themselves, that something does need to be done.
All right, great to talk to you. Thanks very much.
Great,
indeed.
Adrian, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And I actually spoke to Niamh yesterday afternoon. I recorded that interview yesterday afternoon, and she asked me to mention something else as well. Something else I wanted to add was that heading home, I went through the port tunnel and only had my card. I sat waiting on it to go through, and I started to cry. The lady working there asked me, was I okay? And I said, no, I'm not. She was so lovely and took the time to talk to me even while traffic was building up behind me. She was the only person I could say it to. I'd no one else, and I'd like to thank that lady in the port tunnel. We'll take a quick break and we're back in just a moment.
98.
It's 11 o'clock across Dublin. Good morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And this is Laura with Thursday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Good morning. Dublin Airport's first COVID-19 testing centre has just opened. The drive-through centre is one of two facilities due to open there, which will help passengers aiming to travel across Europe. A walk-in centre will also be in operation next week. A €1 billion innovation campus is to be developed by Trinity College. The facility in Grand Canal Dock will cater for engineering, computer, natural and material sciences. Trinity East will also house a major new research institute. 3 Ireland says it's working to resolve an issue with its network this morning. Users have reported not being able to make or receive calls. And Rebecca Vardy's high-profile libel case against Colleen Rooney comes before the High Court in the UK today. Colleen accused her ex-friend of leaking stories about her to the media. The claims, which Rebecca Vardy denies, became known as Wagatha Christie battle following Colleen's detective work on Instagram. And now you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
And just following on from my conversation with Niamh, we got an awful lot of messages in on the same subject. I'm 7 weeks pregnant with our first baby and would be considered high risk. We paid for a private scan this week so my partner could be with me, so he could experience the first scan. The private company were happy for him to accompany me when we told them we were from the same household. This HSE rule makes absolutely no sense at all. I'm dreading hospital appointments on my own. And that's the thing. If a couple are from the same household, if she has the virus, he probably has the virus, or vice versa. So, from that point of view, it doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense, really. Other people saying we need to get with the programme here and accept that it's heartbreaking and all of that, but unfortunately these rules and regulations are in place to protect staff, to protect babies in hospitals and everything else around that. Another message says, my daughter has been in labour since 9 o'clock yesterday morning and she put off going in until this morning knowing she'll have to go it alone. So her partner dropped her in and he's now waiting till the baby is due to be pushed out. It's awful. He hasn't been to one appointment. They paid for a 3D scan just so that he could see the baby and feel a part of it. All right. If you've been affected by the conversation we've just been having with Niamh, the Miscarriage Association of Ireland is available on 087 365 6887. 087 365 887. And thank you very much indeed for all of your messages. This is 98 FM.
The sound of the city, from Sallynoggin to Swords. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Now, next on the programme, here is an issue that is an issue in some schools, but not in all. What do you think of a primary school having a very strict no phone policy for students and confiscating a phone from a child who is caught bringing one into class? If you have a child who is in primary school, do they bring a phone into school with them? And how would you feel if this wasn't allowed to happen anymore? Would you be furious? Well, a group of parents from a school in County Dublin have contacted us, angry over a letter that was sent out to them this week. Now, we're not going to name the school, but here is what was written in the letter. And we want to find out, can you understand why this angered some parents? Do you think primary school kids should have phones in school so that they are contactable? Well, here is part of the letter. Mums and dads, a reminder that pupils are not permitted to have phones in school. The school has always advocated that primary school children are too young to own a mobile phone. The earliest a child should be given a mobile phone is around their confirmation. If there is an exceptional reason for a pupil having a phone, this must be given in writing. Phones will be immediately confiscated and a phone will not be returned until a parent presents at the school. Mobile phones are a dangerous tool for a child to own. They provide an unsupervised window to social media, strangers and bullying. Thank you for your goodwill and support. So that's a school firstly telling parents that you shouldn't be getting your kid a phone anyway. But if your child does have a phone, don't let them bring it into school or it will be confiscated. And I know that is a rule that exists in many schools, but not in all. And I want to find out whether or not you support primary schools, in this particular case we're talking of a primary school, having an outright ban on children having phones in school. I'd love to hear from you. You can call me on 6797 981 or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Do you think primary schools are right to have an outright ban on the use of mobile phones, of kids even bringing them to school with them? If a child in this particular primary school is caught with a phone, it'll be immediately confiscated. And not only that, the parent has to present themselves in the school to ask for the phone back. It's not good enough for the child. It won't be given back to the child. It will only be given back to a parent. Call me right now on 6797 981. Is that a ridiculous rule, or is it a rule that's in place in your child's school? Niamh, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Niamh?
How are you, Adrian? How are you?
You think that letter that I've just read out is very preachy?
Yeah, I have no issue with their rules, right? Their rules are fine. In my son's school, they're not allowed to have their phone on in school. But my lad walks to school. He sends me a very quick WhatsApp text when he gets to the gate to say, "You're safe," so I can know he's there safe. He switches off his phone, puts it in his pocket, and he does not turn it on again till he comes home. He's in 5th class.
Okay.
School has no issue with that. It's just the way they started talking about how to raise your child kind of annoyed me.
Yeah,
You know
I mean, they say in the letter, now I only read out an edited extract of the letter, but it says the earliest a child should be given a mobile phone is their confirmation. Now, that's an opinion that a lot of people would share, but
it's an opinion. It's, they kind of put it down as almost like an edict. Like it's, that's an opinion. I mean, my son has a phone, but he doesn't have social media. He has WhatsApp, but that literally has me on it so that he can send me a text. He doesn't have TikTok. He doesn't have anything like that. it's literally so, and it's an old phone of mine. That's the only reason it's a smartphone. It's not. He's not. Walking up the road, going onto YouTube. He wouldn't be able to. He doesn't have the internet.
Let me read this part of. I have the full letter here, right? And this is part of the letter that they, and it's signed by the principal and the deputy principal of this particular school. And it says, mobile phones found in school are immediately confiscated. The phone is not returned until a parent presents at the school for its return. Mobile phones are a dangerous tool for a child to own. They provide unsupervised window to communication, social media, strangers, abuse and bullying at the time when we are only beginning to teach them the skills surrounding these elements. And they want to say the earliest a pupil should be given a mobile phone is their confirmation or equivalent. A child's excuse that everyone has one should not negate a parent's responsibility to say no. So they're literally lecturing parents here.
They are. And they're getting it mixed up as well. They're getting phones and the internet mixed up. A phone is there to make calls and receive calls, and that's what my son uses it for going to school.
Okay, does he have a smartphone?
He does, but he doesn't have access to the internet on it. He has access to the internet in this house. When he leaves this house, it shuts off because he doesn't have the.
Okay, so it's a mobile phone with there's no data package with it, no?
No, there's no data package with it. No, he has enough credit on it to send text.
Okay,
but he doesn't. Once he leaves this house, he can't access the internet. So they're getting that confused.
Okay, so in your child's school, there's no issue with them having a phone on their person. They're obviously not allowed to use it when they're in school.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
They wouldn't be allowed to have it in their hand. They wouldn't be allowed to take it out of their bag. But they have no issue with them having one. As long as it's switched off, it doesn't start beeping. It has to be switched off from the minute they walk in the gate until the minute they leave the gate, and then it's down to us as parents to
okay,
monitor.
let me read this. Let me read this message. Okay, so you're a young fellow. He goes to school. He's in 5th class. He has a phone with him in school. Now, let me read this message that's just come in to me, and it says, in a primary school, there is no need for kids to have phones during school time. The excuse parents are going to give is, in case of emergency. BS. If there's an emergency, call the woman in the office, and she will give whatever info or action is needed for such an event.
Yeah, and that's what happens. But, if my lad was sick in school, he wouldn't ring me. He'd tell his teacher, and the teacher would tell the secretary, and the secretary would ring me. His phone doesn't get touched. His phone is in his front pocket, switched off. It is literally there so that he sends a very quick text first thing when he arrives at the gate.
Did you say he sent a WhatsApp? He sends a WhatsApp
I know,
message?
he sends a text.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, that's all right.
He has WhatsApp at home, but I am the only person on it. I don't even know why he has it. He doesn't use it.
Okay, sorry. So he's not sending WhatsApps because you need data. You need data to send a WhatsApp. No, you need
data for that. He literally sends a little text to say, safe. That's all I get, one word. And I can relax and say, right, he's arrived safe, everything's fine. But he wouldn't be texting me during the day to tell me that, such and such sitting beside him had sausage rolls for his lunch. I mean, if he had a problem, he talks to the teacher. It's just a little tool so that I can give him that little bit of independence to walk to school, but I know in my heart of hearts he's arrived at that gate safe. That's all.
All right, let me just read this this letter from the school again, but the first bit in particular, I want to find out if people agree with this. Okay, so it says, Mums and Dads, reminder that pupils are not permitted mobile phones in school in big capital letters. As you know, our school has always advocated that primary school children are too young to own a mobile phone. A child's excuse that everyone else has one should not negate a parent's responsibility to say no. The earliest a pupil should be given a mobile phone is their confirmation or equivalent. They go on to say mobile phones are dangerous, blah, 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 blah. Do you think a school is within its rights to be essentially lecturing parents? It is your responsibility to say no.
No, I don't think they are. I mean, as parents, they just said it's our responsibility. So, what one parent would deem appropriate, another parent mightn't.
Well, let me ask you then, Niamh, if you got a letter like that from your child's school saying in big letters, pupils are not permitted mobile phones in school, and you get told you should say no, and he's not to have the phone in school, and no kid is. How would you react?
Well, obviously, I'd follow that's the rule of the school. So, his phone would be left at home. I wouldn't be quite so happy about it, because I do love getting that text just to say he arrived safe. But they're the rules. It was just...
Mind you, if God forbid, Neve, he didn't arrive safe, would the school not ring you at 9:30 to say he's not in?
No, you'd get you'd have to check the Aladdin app, which would just say that the student was not present, like if he was sick. But they wouldn't know. They don't send
But you don't get a notification of that, do you not?
No. No,
oh, right,
you don't.
Okay.
No, well, we don't. So you have to go on and check. And I could do that. I mean, I could go on at 9:10 and check.
In other words, what I'm
that he's been
asking
marked
is, if he was not allowed a phone in school, would it be the end of the world?
No, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Literally, for me, it's an added little bit of peace of mind. That's it. And it wouldn't be the end of the world. It was just the tone of the letter just came across a bit off.
I mean, it is fairly in your face, to be honest, in terms of telling parents. I've been asked to play this WhatsApp for you, Niamh, from Claire.
Adrian, if a child has their phone in the pocket and such goes home to Mary goes home to the mammy and says, oh, Tom took a picture of me on WhatsApp today and blah, 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 or whatever, or took a photograph on his phone, or threatened to do this with his phone, you're going to have those parents coming down, giving out crap to the school as to why a child has a mobile phone and blah, blah, blah. And then and then they're all going to blame the school, and then they're going to be saying, oh, the school did nothing about the bullying thing, the school did nothing, we're going to sue the school. Just ban phones. End of story. That woman needs to organise something else for her child to go to school then.
Okay, I want to find out, and in fact I want to firstly ask if you are a parent of primary school children, what is the policy in your child's school with regard to mobile phones? Send me a WhatsApp to 0877 98 98 98. And then secondly, would you support an outright ban on mobile phones in primary schools in Ireland? Because there isn't. Different schools, as you could hear, Niamh's child's school, no issue. Other schools, like this particular Dublin school that we're talking about, an outright ban. They will be confiscated if a child is found with a mobile phone on their person in school. Where do you stand on this? Do you think there should be an outright ban on mobile phones in primary school? Now, we're not talking about secondary, we're talking about primary. Call me now on 6797 981. Now, Tina, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Tina?
Hi, Adrian.
Tina, you don't believe that children in primary school should have mobile phones?
Absolutely not. What would they need them for?
It's a good question. In fact, Niamh's line has just dropped there, so I don't have her to ask what does he need it for. But he sends her a text when he arrives at school, arrived safely.
But, it would take away their concentration. I mean, I think the schools do need to step forward. I was saying to the girl on the phone there, I see kids now, mine are 10 and 7, and I see their friends are playing GTA, which is over 18s. They're playing all these games. There's a reason why there's age limits on them.
Yeah.
If they don't, in primary school, they wouldn't have the cop on. What if they don't turn it off? It's ringing in the class, disrupting everybody.
Yeah, but they know not to let that happen because they'll get into trouble. But in the school that Niamh's child goes to, they are allowed them. They're not allowed to use them. But they are allowed to have them. But you don't believe there is any need for any child in primary school to not only have a mobile phone, but particularly to have it in school with them?
Absolutely not. There's no reason. And, what's the point in bringing it in and not being allowed to use it either? I mean, then it's there. What if someone took it, They're turned off. You wouldn't know if anyone took it. I mean, it's just opening up a whole big can of worms there. Like, there's absolutely no need in primary. I mean, most parents should be bringing and collecting their kids for primary school. They're still babies.
Yeah, but you're not a baby when you're 11 and 12.
Yeah.
Well, I went to school on my own from the age of 8. Now, the school was only up the road from our house, but...
I did as well, but it's a different society now.
Is it?
Oh, I think so.
In
There's
what
so
way?
many dangers out there.
Well, it's more dangerous now than it was 20, 30 years ago?
I think so. There's more traffic on the road, everything.
Okay, but that's a side conversation anyway. But Niamh, let me ask you why your 5th class son has a mobile phone at all.
As I said, he doesn't have access to any social media. He just uses it to play his little games on it. And he wasn't bought one. It's an old one of mine. He plays Roblox, and he plays, I think, Minecraft, and he has kids' YouTube. That's it. No social media. He knows he's not allowed to have that.
Okay, so let me just go to Dave. Dave, you're on 98. Oh, his line has dropped. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry, Niamh. If your child is caught with their phone in their hand in school, do they get into trouble?
He'd be told to put it in his bag. They get one warning. Put it in your bag.
Right.
They check that the phones must be powered off. That's it. There is no excuses. If the phone is on and they're caught with it, it's taken away until the end of the day. If they're caught with it twice, it's taken away till the end of the week. If they're caught with it 3 times, I'm not quite sure what happens then, but I don't need to get it back for a good while.
Right, okay. So he knows. So he sends you that text in the morning, arrived safely, and switches the phone off and puts it in his bag.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if he didn't send that text. As I said, it's just that added little thing for me, because we don't live in Dublin, so it's slightly different. You know, it's not the same level of traffic as there would be in Dublin. It's a slightly easier route for him, I suppose, than maybe Dublin kids going to school. But he likes to walk. He gets there, he sends a little text, and that's it. As I said, it wouldn't be the end of the world if I didn't get that text. I could check the app just to make sure he arrived safe.
Okay, but if he didn't arrive safe, as you said, you don't get a notification to say he's not in class.
No, we used to. That used to be a thing, but they stopped that last year. They took on this new app, and now it just goes up as soon as the teacher takes the role. They're either marked present or they're marked absent, and you can see it on the app. But that's, we don't get a notification.
All right, do me a favour, stay there for 1 second if you can, please. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. A Dublin primary school wrote to parents this week, and they said the following. As you know, our school has always advocated that primary school children are too young to own a mobile phone. A child's excuse that everyone else has one should not negate a parent's responsibility to say no. The earliest a pupil should be given a mobile phone is for their confirmation or equivalent. This is what the school are writing to parents. It goes on to say, if there is an exceptional reason that a pupil must have a mobile phone, you must write an individual note stating it is required. The mobile phone must be powered off at all times on school grounds and must be handed to the class teacher. The onus is on the pupil to request the mobile at the end of that day. Mobile phones found in school are immediately confiscated. The phone is not returned until a parent presents at the school for its return. Mobile phones are a dangerous tool for a child to own. They provide an unsupervised window to communication, social media, strangers, abuse and bullying at a time when we are only beginning to teach them the skills surrounding these elements. As always, we thank you for your goodwill and support. Now, obviously, this school had an issue with kids bringing phones in, but the rule is the rule. Do you think all primary schools should have a rule like that? We'll take a break. We're back in a second.
The sound of the city, from Blackrock to Ballyfermot. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
We're talking about a school, a primary school, and in fact the reason we know about this is because a parent contacted us, giving out yards basically, about being lectured by the school and about them having a policy of no mobile phones in school. And I've read the letter from the school. The parent doesn't want to come on the show because doesn't want her child to get into trouble and all of that. But nonetheless, she sent it on to us to highlight it, and she's a bit angry over the school having such a strict policy on mobile phones. Now, Niamh was on a while ago, and in fact she's still on the line here. Michael sent me this message.
You need to contact the child during the school. You don't need to be giving 11-year-olds and 10-year-olds mobile phones to contact them while they're in school. You know where they are. They're in school. Ring the school. Christ.
Neil.
He doesn't have social media, but he has WhatsApp. I rest my case, guys. Jesus Christ, what kind of parents are rearing kids these days?
Okay, no, she did correct that. He sends a text message when he gets to the school to his mammy to say that he's arrived safely. Where am I going now? Ciara, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Ciara.
Hi, how are you?
Your daughter is 10.
Yeah.
In 5th class.
Yeah.
Has a phone, but you don't allow her to bring it to school.
No, she's not allowed to bring it to school. It's not the place for mobile phones at all. I know where she is. I don't need a confirmation text to know that she's gotten there okay. You know, I drop her around myself. So I don't think it's the place for phones at all.
Okay, so you don't allow her to bring the phone to school.
No.
Is that your policy, not the school policy, is it?
No, yeah, that's my policy. The school are okay with them having phones that are turned off and in their bag. But to be honest with you, I don't think they strictly enforce that, because we had an incident ourselves with my daughter where there was another pupil in her class taking pictures of her and actually posting them to social media with not nice comments, and we actually only came across it by mistake. Because like that, my daughter came home and said, you know, Mary is taking pictures of me, and myself and my partner were like, no, you're not allowed your phone in school, like being completely naive to it, thinking, you know, you're not allowed your phone in school. Like, you know, we not that we didn't believe her, but we didn't believe that it would happen. And it was only after a bit of investigation ourselves that we found a social media account on a social media platform with pictures of my daughter on it.
Oh, right.
And we had to go to the school about it, and the school were absolutely terrible at dealing with it.
And as a matter of interest, it didn't obviously bring about a ban on phones in the school, no?
No, nothing changed. So, I mean, she's only had a phone since the summer, and that was just because she was going away on holidays without us, so it was just good to keep in contact with her. But we've never allowed her to bring her phone to school, and never would. I don't think it's the place, primary school.
So you obviously then would fully support all primary schools banning mobile phones?
Absolutely. I don't understand why you would need to know, like why you would need to get a text, or, you know, what's the purpose of having a mobile phone in school? Like the caller said beforehand, if there's something wrong, you go to the secretary in the office, or you go and tell your teacher or whatever. There's no need for a phone in school. So, in my opinion.
You think it should be an across-the-board policy then for all schools? Because it seems to differ from school to school.
Definitely for primary school children. I don't think so. Particularly now as well. Like, we're forgetting as well, like my daughter was easily the last child in her class to get a phone, and I mean, she's only 10, and I only gave in to getting her a phone because she was going away on holidays without us, and I just wanted to be able to keep in touch with her.
Can I ask you, what do you think of a school essentially lecturing parents?
No, I don't agree with that. I mean,
and just to read again, this is what our school has always advocated: the primary school children are too young to own a mobile phone. A child's excuse that everyone else has one should not negate a parent's responsibility to say no. The earliest a pupil should be given a mobile phone is their confirmation or equivalent. Now, that's pretty much lecturing parents, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with how the letter is written, but I do agree with the principles in it. I don't believe that a school is a place for phones. I don't believe that, you know, you should cave into your children by them saying, oh, all my friends have them, or there's a class WhatsApp group, or we're all on Snapchat, or whatever it is. But I don't know, it's just not for me. Maybe I'm a bit more old school at things, but I just don't feel the need for phones to be in primary school.
All right, stay there for 1 second, Ciara. A lot of reaction coming into this. Jay sent me this. He says that mobile phones are actually ruining childhood.
Adrian, phones should be banned in schools. Nowhere near them. 7-year-olds ask for phones off Santa and all. It's absolutely crap. Ban the phones. Ban YouTube. It's all they do. Watch YouTube, playing phones. Kids aren't kids anymore. Play with footballs, dolls, all that carry on. Mobile phones. It's a shambles. Shouldn't be near the school. Ever. Thanks, Jay.
Okay, relax there, Jay. Jonathan.
Adrian, I'm just listening to you here about the kids with no phones. Are you agree that the kids shouldn't have their phones when they walk in the gate and they walk out the gate? What about the school teachers? They're there to teach the kids. Are their phones taken off them? I don't think so. Just my opinion.
All right, Jonathan, thanks very much indeed. Patricia, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Adrian.
Now, your granddaughter has a phone. What age is she?
She's 10 and she's in 5th class, and she has a phone because she's type 1 diabetic. And it really is, it's a great advantage. It's kept on the teacher's desk all day.
Okay.
But given to her when she needs to contact her mum if her levels are a little bit, askew, or she needs advice. So
And
for
sorry,
them...
does her phone monitor her glucose levels?
Pardon?
Does her phone monitor her levels?
Oh, no. Actually, yeah, there is a scanner, but that's not for the reason. There is a scanner that's attached to her arm, and she can just scan her levels with the phone, but that's not necessarily the main reason for her having it. It's that she can contact her mum for advice. Teacher gives her the phone goes back to the teacher after she's going home. So it's vital for them. It's a great thing because very often her mum would have to go up and down to the school a few times to sort things out, in the early stages.
Okay, so
it's a good thing.
So is it essential, though, for her to have the phone?
Well, yeah, because she can discuss with her mum how she's feeling. Will she do this? Will she do that? The little corrections can be done here and there when she checks her levels. And, I would say it is essential. It's a great thing.
Okay, so if she didn't have a phone, how would she monitor her diabetes?
She can check her own levels anyway. But if she needs advice, things can be a little bit erratic with diabetes in children, and she can check her own levels anyway. But if she didn't have a phone in school, somebody would call her mum from school, and very often, if it's something that's really troublesome, she would go up and down to the schools a couple of times maybe in a day. So having the phone is really a good thing there.
Okay, what is your thought? Okay, that's a very specific reason. And indeed, the school, the letter I read out, they do say if there are exceptional reasons that a pupil must have a mobile phone, that would be an exceptional reason, I would have thought, maybe.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, though, do you think that kids in primary school should have phones with them?
No, I wouldn't hear of it at all. No.
Okay.
Definitely not.
All right. Dave, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Dave?
How are you, Adrian?
Dave, you've just heard Patricia's reason that her child has diabetes and it gets monitored on the phone and or a wristband or whatever the case may be. Is that a good enough reason to have a phone in school?
Well, that's a fairly genuine reason now, to be fair.
Yeah.
Instead of instead of kid having to go to the teacher, then go to the office, then ring her mum, and at least it's just a direct line to her mother because she's got diabetes. I think allowances can be made for that. But I'll tell you a story, Adrian. There's someone I know very close to me caught their youngster watching porn on a tablet at home, and when he quizzed them about it, he said all the boys and even some of the girls at lunchtime, all they talk about is what porn they watched on their phones the night before.
And what age kids are we talking about?
Man, we're talking. He was saying some of the kids in third class. He said that he was actually shocked by what he heard and what he saw and what he found. And he said it's all the kids are talking about. Oh, he's watching this, and you should watch this. And then they go home at night time and they're checking it up on their phones and stuff. So you imagine if they're doing that at home on their phones. If you're letting them bring them into school, what do you think they're going to be doing on their lunch breaks?
In primary school, are they going to be doing that sort of thing?
In primary school, I was just as shocked when he was telling me. Because the young fella who was looking at it, he apologised to his dad. He goes, look, I was only doing it just so I could be like the rest of the boys. Because the kids there, I've seen kids as young as 8, 9, 10, outside the school taking selfies with mobile phones. It's not right. To be fair to Neve's doing it right. But for every Neve, you have about 10 other parents who will just give their child a phone and just say, have at you. If that's not a good enough reason to be keeping mobile phones out of schools, I don't know what is. Personally, I don't think any child...
You would fully support all schools, all primary schools, having an outright ban on mobile phones unless it's an exceptional circumstance, like that last lady's call.
Oh yeah, 100%. My uncle's going to be 11 next month, and he's mad for a phone. And I told him he's not getting one till first year, or maybe even second year, depending on how responsible he is with it.
And how's that going down?
Do you know what? It's actually not that bad, to be honest with you. You know, he's not really that pushed about it. I mean, look, we have a PlayStation and an Xbox, and he's getting a Nintendo Switch for his birthday, so he's as happy as a pig and shit.
Oh, fair enough.
We don't have to worry about, what he might be looking at on the internet, because we have full control over all of his devices.
All right, Dave, no excuse for having school phones in primary, says Dave. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note from Nolene.
Hi guys, my daughter is 12. Now before the corona, the school she goes to, the national school, allowed kids to bring phones. When they went into school, they left them in reception and then they got them back at the end of the day. Like that woman, my daughter has the phone just to text me to say she's made school okay. It makes my mind at ease. It's up to each parent when their child gets a phone. I gave my daughter hers when she was just gone 10. It was a bit of independence for her. She doesn't have a lot of social media stuff on it, and she's able to tell me when she's got to school and stuff like that. So I think it's a good idea.
All right, Nolene, thank you. Rob, no need for mobile phones in primary school?
None whatsoever.
Do you think all schools should have the same rule as this particular school we're talking about?
All primary schools should have that rule. There's no need for a primary student to have a phone. The majority of kids that go to primary school, they get dropped to school in the morning. They get collected from school when they're finished. So what's the need during them school hours for them to have a phone? Even that lady who said about the diabetes, there's no need. If that child wants to contact her mother, majority of the classes now have phones in them, Adrian. So the office can contact the classroom and voice.
But okay, what is the harm? And this is what I really want to focus on. What is the harm in a child having a switched off phone in the bottom of their bag?
Because the phone won't be switched off all day, and me and you know that, and everyone out there that has a brain knows that. When they go onto the yard, they'll run to their bag, they'll try to take the phone, they'll bring the phone out into the yard. It's going to cause disruption. As that lad said, they're going to be watching things they shouldn't be watching, whether it's even YouTube, they shouldn't be watching when they're in school. School is for learning. It's for being taught. It's not for having a phone with you. There's no need. Okay,
so by having an outright ban, it stops the temptation of sneaking it out of your bag during break time or whatever.
100%, and it stops them from congregating outside the school when they're on the phones, messing down this. Like as he said about the PORN on phones and everything from when they're 3rd class, 4th class. It's not only that. It's when they're in 4th class, 5th class, 6th class, they're recording their friends fighting with each other. They're recording everything. Everything that kids can get their hands on to record, they record these days because we think it's the norm. Now, why would you want that in any primary school? Why would you want it? Teachers in secondary school, that's all they have. It's problems with phones. You see kids in secondary schools, Adrian, with phones out in the classroom with the teachers are screaming at the kids to put it in their bag. So why would you want to teach kids that from an early age before they even go into secondary school? Oh, it's okay to have a phone with you in school, even though you're meant to be sitting down and listening to the teacher and learning. No, that's
all right. So by having an outright ban, then there isn't that temptation of sneaking it out of your bag during lunch break. But here, have a listen to this message, Rob, that I just got from a guy called Nigel. And Nigel was making plans for a long time to have a little snoop on his daughter's phone activity while she was at school. So he made the plans, and he finally got to do it.
How's it going, Adrian? I have 2 into secondary myself, and I let the eldest one bring in her phone because she's doing her leave and she's a bit more savvy. The other one started 1st year, and I says, gosh, she's going into secondary, so I let her bring it in. And I checked up on her Snapchat, and there she was, active. 30 minutes on it, active in one of the classes. So took the phone off her, so she's not allowed to have her phone going to school. Has to be done. While it's there, they're going to use it. I don't care.
Here's another WhatsApp voice note.
Hi, my name's Cara, and I completely agree. I think phones are ruining kids nowadays. Like when I was younger, every kid was out on the road playing a game of football or tip to can. You don't see that anymore. You don't see kids getting creative, playing games, making up games, doing crazy things. Nowadays, you see a kid walking on the road and they're playing on a phone or a tablet, and they're like, let's do this. I'm just there like, what has happened.
All right, Cara, last call on this. Cara, what did you want to say?
Hi, Jeremy. I agree with two things that have been said. I don't think phones should be brought to school because I've picked my sister from school early, and it was around lunchtime because we had to go do something. And all I see is kids not being active, not making up games. I remember walking past primary schools years ago when phones weren't as big as they are now, and they used to be playing all these random games and all these things. When I was in school, we'd make up games. You don't see that anymore, and it's kind of ruined it. I used to see in all the estates, used to see little kids running around. You don't see that. You see kids that are 7 and 8 now on their phones, and I work in my local shop, and I see kids coming in the age of 6 or 7 with iPhone 10s and 11s, and I'm just thinking, how would they have something like that? And the amount of bullying that has increased, because I got bullied in 4th year for 2 years of cyberbullying, and I never told anybody, but my mum saw my phone one day and she caught me and she was like, what's going on? And she found out I was being bullied, but the school done absolutely nothing about it.
In what form did the bullying take?
It got really, really bad, like to the stage where they were taking pictures of me in school and posting them on their accounts. Then they just kept texting me off nearly everyone in the school. They just kept texting me, and it wouldn't stop. So I tried getting new numbers, I tried doing new things, until the stage where I didn't want the phone at all. Like, I just didn't want it.
So would you support an outright ban unless there's extraordinary circumstances for phones in schools and primary schools?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, just looking at the messaging that's coming in, and to the lady who contacted us in the first place about this, the majority of people actually would support such a ban. Let me just squeeze in one final WhatsApp voice note from Adrian.
Sorry, I can't come on, but am I missing something? I never had a mobile phone in school, and my parents, why would they need to be contacting me? If there's any sort of an emergency, ring the office. What am I missing? I don't get it. Why does a small child need a phone to be texting their mum during the day? Would you stop? This is mad.
Right. Thanks, Adrian, and thank you all of you for your calls. The majority of you seem to support an outright ban in the way in which this particular Dublin school is doing. And now, lots of you, I know from listening to and reading a lot of the messages, lots of you are making plans like Nigel did to check on your child's mobile phone, especially if they are able to bring it into school, to see if they're actually using it in school. We're going to take a quick break, and on the way after the break, 98 FM's Waiting Room.
The sound of the city, from Stony Batter to Stepaside. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
And we're here till midday today, and every Thursday at around about this time, it's time for this.
The Waiting Room on 98 FM with Benelin Day and Night Tablets. 24-hour cold and flu relief. Always read the label. Ask your pharmacist for advice.
On a Thursday, I'm delighted to be joined on the line by Dr. Sharon Delaney, who joins us to answer your medical questions as specifically as possible. Obviously, without a face-to-face consultation, it's a little bit more difficult. But in fact, Sharon, just to start off today, actually, and good morning, welcome to the programme.
Good morning.
Yesterday on the programme, we had a conversation about the uptake of the flu vaccine and how it has been quite small, around 20%, I think was the figure yesterday. Tell us a little bit about this flu vaccine for children in particular, and why is it necessary?
Okay, so I suppose the flu vaccine for children in particular, we know that by giving the flu vaccine, it reduces the morbidity and mortality. About 500 people actually die every year from the flu. So by giving the flu vaccine, particularly to children, because we know that they have a longer transmission duration, so that they're actually more likely to infect more people, because their duration of transmission is actually 10 days versus, say, 6 days in adults. And they're in schools, they're in creches, so they're by giving them the vaccine, we're protecting not only the vulnerable in society, but we're kind of avoiding the absenteeism from school and creche, and then the parents aren't going to have to stay out of work, so they're going to be able to attend work. it's also going to reduce pressure on the healthcare services, Adrian, because we know that children have a higher age-specific hospitalisation rate, which is secondary only to those over the age of 65, which is fairly significant.
Okay, so it is important, but a lot of the reaction we got yesterday was from parents saying that I don't need to get it because children need to build up their own immunity to it.
Okay, so firstly, I suppose you can be asymptomatic and you can still spread the infection. So generally, you can be infectious from a day before you ever develop any symptoms. In terms of children building up their own immunity, or anyone building up their own immunity, the vaccine works by stimulating our own bodies to actually produce proteins or antibodies that will recognise the flu virus if we're exposed to it again and mount a response against it. So technically, children are building their own immunity and building up their own immunity because this process is generating a response by their own system. And this can take about 2 weeks to actually be achieved. So that's why we say it generally takes about 2 weeks for it to be effective. And so by vaccinating children, we are decreasing the risk of them getting the flu, but also decreasing the risk of them spreading it to other people who may have more serious complications, particularly with COVID. At the minute, we know that if somebody gets COVID and flu, their risk of serious illness is particularly increased.
Now, is there an issue with supply? We heard from a lot of people yesterday talking about they have been trying to get their children vaccinated but have found it very difficult.
Yeah, so I suppose initially there were delays with the manufacturers and so supplies were decreased. And I suppose now it's more an issue that there is more of a demand because there's increased public awareness, and thankfully there's uptake is being promoted, and it's a testament to the public's kind of spirit of protecting others by actually going and getting the flu vaccine.
All right, and the final question that we were asked yesterday, does it actually prevent you getting the flu? If you get your child vaccinated with the nasal vaccination, will it prevent them getting the flu? Are they guaranteed not to get it this year?
So, not necessarily. The flu vaccine, particularly the nasal one, it's a mix of weakened strains of the virus. And as I said, when you give that to the child, it will stimulate their immune system to mount an immune response and generate these antibodies. We know that when we give the flu vaccine, it decreases the rates in general by about 40 to 60%. The nasal vaccine actually has an 83% efficacy. So it will cover the most prevalent strains that are covered in the vaccine. It's not going to protect you against non-flu viruses or COVID or, say, bacterial infections. So you can't say 100% it's not going to give you're not going to get any respiratory illness. It will protect you against the ones that you are vaccinated against.
All right,
and we know that children have a very good uptake. They generate a very good response to vaccines.
All right. Now, so the recommendation from you and as a GP is to try get your children vaccinated, and it is free for under 12s.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. And then one other question for you, Sharon. Can you ask your doctor, what are the best ways to keep ourselves from getting sick during the winter and keeping our immune systems up? Do things like Rubex or Berocca work? Would she recommend anything in particular? Are there foods that boost the immune system, basically to keep you well during the winter?
Yeah, okay. So I suppose the immune system is made up of a lot of different cells and proteins and things. There's no kind of quick fix that you can get that will boost the immune system, and it's an attractive idea, and a lot of products will promote boosting antibodies or boosting immunity. The best way to build our own immunity and to protect ourselves is to it's not very attractive, but it's the same old. It's diet, increasing fruit and vegetables, maintaining a normal body weight, getting adequate sleep, exercise, decreasing stress. Foods that contain probiotics, just by promoting gut health will be advantageous. And then, in some cases, we can be well nourished, but we can be deficient in micronutrients, particularly in people who have poor diets or say less varied diets and don't eat a lot of fruit and vegetables. So they can be deficient in things like, say, zinc or selenium, that kind of thing. In those cases, it may be of benefit to actually take, say, a general multivitamin and a general mineral supplement, but high doses of a single vitamin or a single mineral isn't going to be advantageous. So taking loads of vitamin C, for example, you're going to pass it out in urine. So it's it's not effective. It's water soluble. Your body's not going to hold on to it.
All right, very good. As always, Dr. Sharon Delaney, thank you very much indeed for joining us for 98 FM's Waiting Room. And if you have a question that you'd like me to put to Sharon next week, all you have to do is send a WhatsApp to 0877 98 98 98. But as I said, Dr. Sharon Delaney, thank you very much indeed.
The Waiting Room on 98 FM with Benylin non-drowsy chesty coughs. Gets to work fast. Always read the label.
And that's it from us for today. Thank you for joining us. Back again tomorrow morning at 10. And if there's anything you'd like us to bring up on the show tomorrow, send us an email to dublintalks@98fm.com. Have a great Thursday. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Barry Dunn is on the way. And in the next hour, he's got some great music lined up like these.
Tick-tock, tick-tock, 24/7, got you on my mind. Every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing
98 FM.